problem with compression and different things on the previous show, and also sound, background sound noise and things like that. But because the film's longer, I just leaving the first one on, and most of the films are fine where you could hear the voice and everything like that. But I have some other Bigfoot films to cover here, as well as more about this Okanagan Lake monster here, right? And that sort of thing like that, and the Lake Seneca beast. I got it cleared up, and I just cover very shortly again things that we're trying to be showing here. On the films and that sort of thing like that. So, but we have some other amazing Sasquatch films that can't be humans in suits. They just can't be. So, we'll cover some of that, and just a continuation on with it and that sort of thing. So this one will be like a little bit of a shorter show, because of just simply I covered some of it in the other one, but I have some other films here that are totally insane, like really convincing stuff here that they can't be a human innocent. So that and. We'll move on with those ones again, and that, and just cover some things about it that's very interesting. Some of these films, so stay tuned. A comment: a fair amount of people have seen this video. I got some guy to test with like a 6 foot log that couldn't even remotely do, and he was a big fellow, 6 foot something. This creature actually rips. This was filmed in Alberta by some oil workers, which I believe have better things to do with their day than this sort of stuff, right? So, very interesting film. Some even famous people that are into Sasquatch, like myself, right, have commented on it and won't say what it is like. But I find this ridiculous because, like I showed you in some of the films here, these can't be humans in suits doing this. It's not feasible. Therefore, there's only other conclusion that it really is a Bigfoot like creature, right? They exist. Simple as that. So watch what this guy does here. Just watch this. Do you see the length of that? Do you see that? I mean, this guy shooting this like probably, I don't know, 30, 40 feet maybe, right? And this thing is the tree that he ripped out is at least, like, I'd imagine, like 3 4 times the height of him, sort of thing like that. Bare minimum, I would suggest somewhere in there, right? So I mean, the this tree trunk could be anywhere from 25 feet to way higher. It's hard to know, right? Like I think there's some people that have done analysis on this and have a somewhat of an idea, right? But I haven't gotten massively into that part of it, because I don't care even if it's only 20 feet tall. No human on earth could fling it like that. Not with one arm, man. No way. No way. Not done. Barely people can get a javelin that far, right? Like, and that weighs way less than that, right? So, and this creature rips it right out of the ground, right? I mean, totally astonishing, right? So, there, and also the fact that it's a bunch of oil workers. If you knew the kind of cash that these guys make, they don't need to be doing any of this stuff, right? Like, so they noticed it. What's the sound out there? Some guys started filming it, and this is what you're seeing: this creature ripping a tree right out of the ground, like, and flinging it like that. No human could do that. You know it. I know it. Joe Nichols knows it. Of course, he's going to still say it's a guy in a ghillie suit, but the thing is that it's not, right? And so, no matter what, we have a real conundrum here that these multiple films here show you that it's not feasible, right? Plus, even physical evidence, like a toe sitting in a museum all these years that could have solved this riddle a long time ago. Giant ancient fingers, it's a finger that's seemingly been stolen. Claws of the Pangbachi hand, and ones like that. There's things out there that if you add them all up and the thousands of reports, right, and all this sort of thing together, and the ancient historic from then, the earliest times of the Enkidu like guy and giants in the Bible that could have been something like this, right? Some of them, who knows, right? And that sort of thing like that. And they do mention that some people were furry and hairy, right? And that sort of thing like that. So there's these hints that possibly these Nephilim giants, right, like were these are smaller versions of them now, right? Like, and that sort of thing like that. And they're a human great apish sort of thing, right? Like a mixture here, right? Like where they got the strength of a great ape, but they're more primitive human in some ways, right? But whatever the case, right? Or there's several kinds, some unknown gigantopithecus like thing, and wild humans and feral humans, like a lot of different all make the Bigfoot phenomena again, right? But for sure, that is not a guy in a suit, right? So no matter what anybody claims, right, this is totally silly that anybody would even suggest that, right? Like it's not feasible, and also the way that it bounces naturally on the ground and everything. If it was a light product, it would have done very different, right? So if the guy made it out of some fake pole or something, right, and real gimmicks here, where a bunch of workers get together to pull this scheme to make no money. I mean, I don't see it, right? So, anyways, I believe it's an authentic sighting. I believe that's an authentic Sasquatch. He looks very strong, muscular like creature there. It's quite big in the background. It's a large, white sort of creature, right? And it's anybody on Earth cannot, with one hand, rip a tree out of the ground and shoot it like that. It's impossible, right? And I mean, there's another one that I have that I can't find the bloody bookmark for it now. That is the most tree convincing one, even more than this one, is this other one, this titanic monstrous tree. It's got to be like, I don't know, 50 to 80 feet long, like somewhere in this area. It's huge, right? This guy grabs this. You can see parts of him sometimes in between the trees. He drags this thing up this mountain and then he lifts it up in the air and balances it and shoots it. No human on earth could do that. Never, never. So, and even people, there was a fellow that commented on this film and some others that I've seen in the past say that the guy's like a tree person, right? And they work out in this field, and the machines that they have can't do the things that you're seeing here. So it couldn't have even been by like a machine where the guy's got it hidden somewhere. Any of this sort of thing, it doesn't work that way, right? So these are real deal films here that I mean, if you add all together, like I said, the anecdotal evidence, the historical evidence, this bizarre DNA sometimes found, so many hairs that it's humanish, but with strange anomalies, right? All this stuff, if you add it all up, right, it's got a much more case than just the Joe Nichols like answer that it must be a guy in a ghillie suit. Why was there people in ghillie suits thousands of years ago? For what purpose, right? And all that sort, like, I mean, there's a lot of things that can't be, right? So, but anyways, this isn't as authentic another film here showing the immense strength of these creatures are like great apes, at least the regular ancient giant kinds, right, from Alberta and BC and Washington and Oregon and all these kinds of states, right? Those guys. And there used to be giants out in the south, but I don't see these kinds of reports anymore. Most of the creatures are way lesser tall, like 6 to 8 feet, sort of a region, right? In a lot of the southern United States, right? These skunk apes and that sort of thing on that. The original reports, the reason why it was called skunk ape, a lot of people don't know that, is just like in the Russian film where the guy's got this skunk like stripe on his backside, right? I find that even more convincing because why would somebody go through all this extra effort to put that makes it look kind of fakish too, right? Like, you see what I mean? So it's not logical, right, that somebody would go through all that extra trouble. Plus, again, it's impossible that a human being can leap 30, 40, 50 like feet here at a shot, right? This thing covers a whole football field in of circumference. in microseconds. I mean, it's not. No human could do this, man. I watched all the best football runners and all the gang, right? Giants of basketball to all the kinds of people, and nobody can do things like this. And none of these guys, even some monster basketball guy, couldn't even rip this out with his one hand. He wouldn't be able to get his hand around it. Oh, that's another thing. Why does nobody ever mention that? Duh, man, am I ever stupid, man? Wow, why did this not occur to me before? How could a human, a regular human in a ghillie suit, get around their hands around such a large circumference? I mean, it seems to be possibly like a white pine, maybe of some sort. I'm not an expert on trees, but it looks something like that. I can see barkish parts missing where it's darker, right? And I used to do that when I was a kid. My grandmother taught me that it's a way of making a book, right? You dry them out and you can actually write on it and make like a book, right? So kind of cool, right? And probably natives do this too. I don't know, but I've not seen like an example from one of theirs. But I'm besides using it for herbal things and that sort of stuff, right? But whatever the case, it is some kind of large tree here, right? And a human being can't get their hand around something like that, but some great, 8, 10 foot ape man, right? Like what I ran across in Quebec there, they can do this sort of thing. So this is like really interesting. I mean, if you think about it, even that, how would the guy be able to have a robotic device in his arm that's going to fit all this width of this and be able to do all the super strength and bolted like the bionic man, right? Like, it sounds a bit out there, right? For what money? There's no purpose. It's not in a monster film. There's no money big maker here, right? It's been shared a lot on sites that make money because of their viewers, but it's not really, the original purpose of this isn't for that, right? It was just posted because of its thing. I'm surprised as other people won't comment on it as much, that they're scared of it or something. I mean, I find this very, very good, solid sort of thing here that can't be a human in a suit. So, but anyways, we'll continue. Whatever is in this film is a human like, Bigfoot like creature here that's doing things that no human on this planet could do. I don't even think a gorilla could do this. So here's what you're going to see that is so astonishing that it's right out there to outer space, right? Sort of thing like that. So you can see those trees there. This film's very, very short, right? Okay, do you see all of a sudden this tree bending there? Can you see that? Here, look, the next there. Look at this. Okay. Now, see if we can get this here. It's very hard to do this. No, it's not going to work out because the guy right there, all of a sudden, the guy's actually balancing this. He ripped the tree out of the ground. It's totally insane. So, we'll play this for a second here. Did you see the body, the huge size of that guy, and throwing this? I mean, this is insane, man. So, what is this? I don't even know if that's Sasquatch. It could be some ancient cave giant, as far as I know. But whatever that thing is, that is the most powerful, insane thing I have ever seen in my entire life. Like I said, there's some films here that I've been showing you that prove that these can't be humans in suits, right? It's just not feasible. And there's something like crazy stuff out there, man. I mean, this guy runs with a tree, man. He's running with a tree. And he ripped it out of the ground. You see at first, actually, the film's longer, where another tree is sort of bends over and does all this wacky stuff, right? But then you finally see this guy, right? And I mean, there's some giant there of some sort. Whatever this is, I don't have an explanation for this. I don't even know if this is Sasquatch or some other crazy thing, right? But anyway, Sasquatch does this for sure. He's a Sasquatch like giant of some sort, right? May not be the normal Sasquatch, could be some ancient giant of some sort that still on the brain. They must be in low supply, I'll tell you. But there's a few other videos and that have giants on it that are very strange, and they're not CGI. So I don't know what to say, right? But anyways, very interesting. I'll leave it at that. You can review the film back and forth. This guy posted it up here. Um, and that's so like if you I suppose if you listen this giant rips tree from the ground, right, you'll probably find it, right, and that sort of thing like that. You can see there's a little bit more of the film in that and that sort of thing like that, but very fascinating. I don't have an explanation for this at all, and I don't know. But all I can tell you is one thing, that is not any normal human being on this planet could do what you just seen in that film, right? So it's pretty terrifying. I want to comment on this film here, folks. This is extraordinary. Uh, this is not a human in a suit up in a tree. Impossible. What now? You'll see how fast that this guy's leaping around, and you see sometimes fur and hairy sort of stuff shooting around through there. But see him there? And how fast that this guy can maneuver through this. Humans can't do this kind of thing. Now, here's the next thing. Watch this. This thing's busting up right like what I told you that I had experience with in Queen, Quebec, right? This thing was snapping off trees here just with its bare hands. Like, I mean, no human can do this, right? So, watch this. This family, I mean, it's totally nuts. See there? The guy's knocking down trees, and see even the dog is running away. So, I mean, what more can yeah, so anyways, I just wanted to comment on this here. I mean, it is extraordinary how I can't believe that that's a human in a suit. These guys were hiking out and they went to this Wasatch Mountain Peak, right? And you see down there this thing traversing through there that's totally insane. I mean, totally insane. It can't be a human in a suit. Impossible. I mean, it's so extraordinary to me. It's like, look at this guy. Look at the speed that this guy is doing through this kind of snowbanks that would be probably 5, 6 feet deep and this kind of stuff. Who knows, right? Like, but even if it was a couple of feet, look at the speed of that. This guy is conversing. No human on earth could do that. You know it. Joe Nichols knows this. Anybody, but of course, we'll say it's sadly the last show there. So I just wanted to cover this a little bit more again. Okay, look at the gigantic sort of caudal fin at the end. Now look at where the dorsal fin is arranged. There's no that I can see an adipose fin there, right? And that sort of thing like that. So and also the pelvic and the pectoral fins are similar size. There may be an anal fin there. You see when the thing turns, there's a little bit of a space, like something like that. I thought the tail was a little bit thinner than what it is, but it's actually just when he does a movement there, it makes it look like that a little bit. But clearly, this can't be. It's not a sturgeon. It has a dorsal fin halfway up it, right? And that I don't see any scutes on it or these bumps up on the top, and also they don't have that dorsal fin, right? So I don't know what this is, but I was in Lake Okanagan. I saw the worm-like sort of Okanagan monster. Right? So also the Seneca beasts, there was sound in here and things like that. Here's the second part, and I just wanted to cover some things on it here. This is real, folks. You can see clearly, as far as the human eye can see, there's nobody else around here. There's no bubbles from a there's like, this is a real deal. This thing is alive, and it matches descriptions from even Manitoba and some lakes in Quebec and different ones over the ages, right? So you can see how tall that big building is there on the thing. This creature's monstrous. I can't imagine it's under 20 feet, and it could be as long as 30, 40 feet. It's hard to know because we're not in a spot there that you can measure this properly. But clearly, this creature is the same creature in both films. The guy that he saw it and he started stalking there day and night, sort of thing, all the time, filming, and he got lucky and he got this thing on twice, right? And it's clearly the same beast each time. But you'll see its neck coming up, and if you freeze the frames, you actually see the gulping position change. And that's not possible that they had this kind of stuff. It, there's no advertisement on this. It isn't in a monster movie, and that sort of thing, right? Like so. It's an extraordinary film of a totally unknown to science sort of creature here, right? And some giant worm-like monster. And but anyways, he's going to come out here soon, and then we'll be able to get a better look at him. And you can see the tufts on his ears. I mean, his pointed ears, and that there he is. See him? Okay, now you actually see the neck muscles gulping down something, and he does the same weird jerking motion. I suspect that it's something to do with the air bladder system on this kind of a creature probably isn't exactly like a fish is. And so for him to come out of the water, it takes a bit of jerking effort and different things to do this properly, right? Like sort of thing. It may have something to do with that kind of thing. But here you can see, look at the size of this. Look at that. That's just a part of his neck and head, and it's reaching up to those halfway up those building up there, right? So extraordinary film, extraordinary. Folks, the first show I left it on because I had a couple of films in there that I covered, but and I covered some different ones in this, so it's a one and part two. But I fixed up any kind of there was a sound problem from the original old video there on Seneca Lake. It has this choppy old video sound in the background and things like that, so we had to fix that. And so apologize about that. But anyways, here's just another example. What I was trying to show you is here. Okay, you can see here on this Atlantic sturgeon here, okay, you can see this adipose fin, right? It has no typical dorsal fin. However, this creature does. You can see the bump up on the top there, right? And clearly at the beginning of the film, as I was showing you, you can see it's a very typical fin-like dorsal fin structure sort of thing, right? The pectoral and pelvic fins, right, seem to be more similar size than typical most fish and things like that. Like, as for instance, here in this Atlantic sturgeon, right, you can see the large pectoral fins, right? And that, but the pelvic fins are much smaller, right? Like in the way that they stick out, right? And that sort of thing like that. Now, I was wrong at first. It seemed like it showed this whippy tail, but after reviewing it multi times, it's much more like a sturgeon's to a shark-like tail of some sort, right? It seems to possibly also have an anal fin structure down there. You can see it widens a little bit down right where the tail starts near, right? And that sort of thing like that. Okay, but you can see clearly on a normal sturgeon that the adipose fin, they don't really have a center dorsal fin, right? So the adipose fin is down here, and you can clearly see that this is not the case. It's in a very different sort of place, as well as the fin structure is slightly different, right? Also, you don't see any scutes on it. It seems to be like smoother, sort of like the rest of the creature, and there's no big bumps on its back, right? And that sort of thing like that. So the head, though, is very similar to a sturgeon. So again, I suggest it's either some unknown species of sturgeon to shark-like creature of some sort, right? That is a fish. but it's just unknown to science because it doesn't match anything. And certainly that Titanic shouldn't be in a lake. You could clearly see it up against the boat here. These yacht boats are typically like 25 feet to 40 feet, right? So clearly this creature is huge, right? So it doesn't match any sort of thing, right? It cannot be any of the known species of sturgeon. It's not a Pacific sturgeon and that sort of thing like that, right? And it's not a lake sturgeon or any of these. So I know some characters out there will try and say this, but they're full of malarkey, right? As the old saying goes, right? Like I said, I've been catching these since I was four, right? And that guy doesn't match what I saw in Lake Okanagan, if it truly is Lake Okanagan. I don't care. Sometimes I think people lie on these, and even though the film's genuine, they just don't want people going to their lake, right? Or for whatever reason, right? And that sort of thing like that. So they'll post it and say it's a Loch Ness monster to get more views, but it's silly, right? Like so, but as far as I can background check on this, where I keep leading up to that it comes from Lake Okanagan. Okay, so I would believe that the terrain could be around of this sort in some spot, right? And that sort of thing like that. But wherever it came from doesn't matter. That is an unknown fish species to science that is sharkish to sturgeonish related of some sort, right? I mean, they're all over different ones, right? Like, I mean, from Russia and all over, it's even feasible that some other things, right? Like, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff here that some creature got wayward off course, underground rivers, high time rivers when it's flooded, things like that, like some way where they get in, right? And some may stay if there's enough food there and all that sort of thing. But, anyways, besides the regular Ogopogo worm like monster that lives in there, this guy may live in there too if it is from there. Again, it doesn't matter to me the validity of it. It's a real film. It's real, that fish, and he's unknown to science. Like, so it doesn't match. Like, I'm not going to be and give these stupid answers like some of these so called experts, right? And say, oh, yeah, it's a sturgeon. They always say everything's a sturgeon, right? But they have no backing a lot of times, right? There is nothing about this that matches any typical sturgeon known, right? So, there really is unidentified animals to science that are of huge size that are floating around in some of our lakes and rivers and things like that, and that's the way it is. So, anyways, if you have any sightings and that, cryptozoology spot at protonmail.com. You can send me your story or any kind of video or any kind of thing like that. I love all this stuff. Like I said, I've been collecting it since a little tiny child and totally fascinated by the strange and the unusual, right? and like Jean-Guy says, you couldn't find any more strange and unusual than the pairing of Katy Perry and Justin TAI there. That's really out there. But anyways, so I mean, if they can exist, as certainly the Ogopogo monster does. But all kidding aside, though, if they truly are, again, like I said, in love and that, great for them. Nothing's, sort of, like, I mean, everybody has their sort of ones, right? Like, I mean, like I said, I think Caroline Leavitt is very pretty young lady and all that sort of thing, but way too young for me and that sort of thing like that. If I was in my 20s and some big zillionaire doctor guy or whatever, right? And she wasn't married. Well, yeah, I'd fly down to DC in a second for that. But not at my age, right? I don't look at them that way, like when they're that. So, I like them older now. Who I would like to go out with is Anastasia. I find her extremely like 10, 10, 10. I could imagine listening to her voice singing every evening if she's practicing and things like that. That's the most underrated world class singer ever in the history of mankind is Anastasia, right? And not, I mean, even if Anastasia looked like a lizard lady, I'd still say the same thing, right? Like, I mean, it doesn't matter what she looks like. She's a cutie pie, and 10 out of 10 to me, but sort of thing like that. But if you've never seen her, If you want to see her in action, look up, you know, the look up Australia the Vampire, right? And she does. They had this thing where they hide your identity, right? And she does a bunch of songs. And the second I saw this woman, because I saw the original Anastasia with her big hit song there, right, and that sort of thing like that, and I said, "Wow, what a is she ever amazing, right?" Like her voice is right up there with any kind of. I've been watching every old movies from the 1920s, the silent era, the first sound ones. I saw all the great masters and everything like that. And I mean, this woman is in the top 10 of all times of any singer anywhere in this planet, man. Unbelievable. I mean, she makes so many that they blab about that have gotten way more money than her out of it, and that sort of thing like that, which is a terrible shame. I mean, sometimes people are underrated, right? Like I said, I mean, you got somebody like the Van Dams there. You got 25 wins on a larger circuit, or you can compare that to over 400 wins on larger to low budget circuits. So I mean, there's all kinds of people out there that have abilities that are underrated, right, and that sort of thing like that. But the thing is that if you've never heard her, Australia's the Vampire, you'll love this suit. I mean, whoever created that is. But I got to give this woman so much credit because she's got to be in this ridiculously crazy suit. I would pay even 5 times more if I was a zillionaire if she'd be willing to wear the suit again for like a couple-hour concert, right? Because I love this vampire thing. I mean, and I'm scared of vampires. I don't like vampires, right? But this one I do, right? And when the song she takes on, all of a sudden I hear the music, Bonnie Tyler, right? And I said, "Oh my God, nobody takes on Bonnie Tyler, right? Like sort of thing like that." There's another cutie, but oh, what a skill, man! But anyways, I mean, she smokes this stuff like every single thing from Gangster's Paradise. To even an Elvis song, nobody takes on Elvis, right? Like, I mean, I was very lucky. I got to meet Lisa Marie, and and uh, and I met the mom and the daughter. Right? They were. It's very rare that they actually are at this Elvis's place, right? Well, at least like most of the time it's other people that are going to show you the place, right? And that sort of thing like that. But this was a bit lucky. And so sat down, and I mean, this woman was the most Priscilla there, the most smoking thing you've ever seen, right? But I was way younger, so I was way more interested in her daughter, right? And then, I mean, she's enchanting, right? I don't know if these rumors are true. I heard something sad happened to her in recent times, right? So I don't know. I haven't looked it up fully, right? Because a lot of people BS on here, and now with these AI robot things, they keep saying people are dead or this or that, and this scares me. This, like in the Bible thing, like I've mentioned before, right? He mentions that the whole world will have see everything at once. You couldn't have done that even with TV. That's one thing. But the other thing is that nobody will believe anything, right? Because you won't know anymore if it's really Trump talking to you or an AI robot or any of this stuff, right? And these things are taking over their jobs and all kinds of wacky stuff, right? So, I got to live more in the different eras, right? Where yeah, you know what I mean. It was a bit more entertaining and not as ridiculous as what it's become, right? And that sort of thing like that. But I mean, it's a scary world out there. So who knows? Maybe that really is an AI robots of them, and they send them out there for some maniacal plot of some sort. I like it. Sean Key's the world's greatest theorist. There, some of the stuff that I've heard, like one another funny one is that why the Omar guy got 10 million settlement there was nothing to do with that. He was actually adopted and the illegitimate son of Fidel Castro. If you put the two up together, they almost do look a little bit similar, right? But some of the wacky theories this guy's told me over the years is like the funniest stuff ever, right? So I don't I have a bit of comedy to me, right? So I enjoy all that sort of. I like people that are a bit out there, and he's certainly one. And I tell him all the time when I speak to him, so I'm not bad mouthing him of any sort. He's actually really intelligent and always extremely entertaining. But some of the stuff that comes out of this guy is world class funny stuff. But anyway, so I try and keep him down because some people get upset with some of the humor. But I mean, some of these things are pretty funny, right? Like I mean, I if you take it in that sort of way, not a racial thing or anything, it's just how wacky it is, right? Like I mean, the stuff, right? Just like Katy Perry and Justin. That's quite the combination. But anyway, so but one thing we know for sure that after seeing these films here, you got to admit, I mean, come on, man, really, like. You can't keep giving the Joe Nichols answer. That is not a log. Right? And who's ever breaking giant branches out of trees is not a regular human here, right? Like and that sort of thing like that. I'm oddly suspect of the giant one for some reason, but the other ones are crystal clear. They really are, a regular sort of motion sensor camera like thing. It's not CGI stuff, and they're quite good, right? But that giant one, because my head has trouble believing that some 20-foot guy, 15-foot, whatever he is. Right? This guy is huge. I mean, any person that could pit what, but I mean, I don't know, right? Like, but I mean, if that's real, man, wow. But I mean, I really don't know. But for sure, some of them are. And they add to the case again that for sure Sasquatch exists of different sorts, and lake monsters do as well. So stay tuned next show.